As you know, that we announced in the budget, following consultations with the banks, that we would like to completely eradicate the fees that are charged when you go and use your ATM card at a point of sale machine. That is, you go to a supermarket, you go to a pharmacy, you go to a service station, wherever it is that you use your machine to buy goods. The fees used to be 40 cents. From the 1st of Jan, that fee will no longer be charged to your account or to you. Therefore, that makes it a lot more inexpensive for you to actually use your cards. And the whole idea is for you to use your cards as much as possible. At the moment, of course, there's also a merchant fee that the merchant pays, and that fee is still going to be charged, but we are currently talking to ABIF to see how we can reduce those fees for the merchants, so even more merchants actually have FPOS machines. The idea is that we want you to be able to buy more and more goods with your ATM cards, and the idea is to, of course, encourage an environment, and one of the ways of encouraging the environment is to ensure that the fees are reasonable or there are no fees at all. So the next agenda on our table is, of course, to reduce the fees for the merchants. As you know, that many of the shops at the moment, when you go to use your card, they'll say minimum purchase $10, and we want to, of course, remove that requirement of a minimum purchase, and we'll work towards that. We also are quite keen, as also announced by the chair of ABI, that we have made a budgetary allocation to utilize those funds to have more and more point-of-sale machines in different locations throughout Fiji. So eventually, in a few years' time, we'll have, essentially you'll be able to walk into any place and use your card. And as we've said, we want you to buy your Chinese lollies with the ATM cards too, because the idea is that if you go to other countries, if you go to a place like New Zealand, you can buy a bottle of water using your ATM card, and that's the position we want to be in. It also, from a wider economic perspective, by having more electronic transactions, you are increasing liquidity. By having more liquidity in the system, it also means that when you want to go and borrow money, the cost of borrowing is actually not expensive because there's more liquidity. So more electronic transactions means better liquidity within the system. It also means better accountability, both for banks, also means better business environment. So if you're a shopkeeper, if you run a business and all your transactions is done electronically, you don't actually have to take money to go to the bank because it's already banked. The moment you do the electronic transaction, the money is already banked. That means you have less people going to the banks, less reduction in the waiting queues, etc. So overall, it's a very positive approach, and I'd like to thank the ABIF. Some of them, of course, started the no fee early on, before 1 January, some of the banks. But I'd like to thank all the banks, and we want to work together with all the banks to ensure that we are able to achieve our objective of ensuring that we have more electronic transactions in Fiji. Also maintaining the liquidity. It's a very important phase in our economic development. We believe that given the huge level of economic activity we've had, 9 years of growth, we need to now go on to the next phase of economic development in Fiji, and that will require all parties to collaborate and work together, including the banks, of course, all the business houses, all citizens of this country, and of course all those who are actually interested in ensuring that we create jobs, we have economic stability, we create more opportunities. We have a lot of young people in our country, and we need to create those opportunities, and this is precisely one of the reasons why we're doing so. So I'd like to thank the banks once again, and we look forward now to moving on the next step, which is reducing the fees for merchants. We get more merchants adopting this approach. Thank you. Yes, in the budget we've actually allocated over $500,000 for this initiative, and the cost of a FPOS machine, a point-of-sale machine, is about 750 Fijian, about 500 Australian. So we have said that we are willing to pay 50% of the cost of the machine. So your normal shops, for example, in Flagstaff and in different suburbs, in Nandi, Lautoka, they can actually have those machines. And also, from a safety perspective, it's good too, because you simply have to carry your card. You don't carry cash, you don't lose it. So that's the whole idea, is to get those machines out in those, the suburbs where people frequently use, the shops after hours.
Certainly, I think we met here in this office probably pre-budget to have a discussion about what we can do to, like the AG Minister said, how can we reduce cash in the system, how can we improve liquidity, and certainly in other markets we've seen this be quite a successful strategy. So we were delighted to get on board and encourage all of our customers when they're going through particularly through the supermarkets, instead of going to the ATM machine first to get their cash out, they can pay for their groceries with their cards, and there'll be no extra cost to them. So January 1.
Great opportunity for me to say, we are on board on free FPOS. I think it's a great initiative and it encourages people not to carry cash. It's not that I hate cash, I don't like to carry cash, I like to have cash in my account. So the other thing which actually need to be highlighted over here is not only about the liquidity piece, which is very important, and safety and security. As you must have seen these days, there's a lot of frauds are happening. So I think we need to adopt the digital channels, and not only the FPOS but the internet banking and some of those corporate internet banking as well, which allows you to do the transaction. So I think that's where everyone should be moving towards, and we as a bank and ANZ and the rest of the banks are ready to take care of our customers to safeguard their funds and from the fraudulent activities. Thank you.
Yeah, this is actually a great initiative, and this will increase the cashless transactions, and it will help people to create a green society. And I think this great initiative that will help the economy to grow, and we are ABIF with the government to encourage these cashless transactions. Thank you.